Madam, two questions. Why wasn't the report tabled during the tenure of your government? And secondly, why was the policy withdrawn? That's one question which, dominated our discussions when the elections were taking place. Why was it withdrawn? The two questions to you, madam.
First of all, I would like to thank you so much for the question. And first of all, Bharatiya Janata Party has been shouting about this liquor policy. I think it's more than 2 years now. They had put our leaders behind the bar in the fabricated cases, in the false cases. And the fact is, today the CAG report was presented by the Bharatiya Janata Party government in the assembly, and the CAG report itself confirmed that the old excise policy, had the major structural flaws, and new policy was brought in by the Aam Aadmi Party government to increase the revenue, as well as for the better transparency, as well as curb the black marketing. And the major massive failure with the old excise policy has been highlighted in this document. First is, there was failure to prevent the smuggling and the black market sales. Number two, there was liquor supply chain manipulation. Approximately 28% of the liquor sales were untracked due to the barcode failures, due to making room for the black market sales. Number third is the price manipulation, resulting in the revenue loss. Then huge smuggling was done from the Haryana as well as the UP government, which is being the Bharatiya Janata Party is ruling in Haryana and UP, as well as 88% of the total FIRs under the Excise Act were from the Delhi districts bordering the Haryana state, and 77% of all liquor seized came from these districts only. You can see in the chapter 6 of the on the page number 58. And even the CAG report has confirmed, has acknowledged that the new policy was a better revenue model. You can see that on chapter 8, page number 85, which itself confirms that the new policy which the Aam Aadmi Party brought, that Delhi's projected revenue was going to hit a record, that is the 8911
Okay,
crores.
madam,
That was more than, that
there
was
is,
double.
madam,
You can
madam,
see the number. We need to understand. We all
there,
need to know.
okay,
But
you
let
have,
me tell you, the Aam Aadmi Party did not withdraw. The Delhi government did not withdraw that policy. It was only because of the intervention of the Bharatiya Janata Party
okay.
and the
Let
central
me read out one
agency. The
thing, then
Bharatiya Janata Party
madam,
controlled
madam, you
central
made your point.
agencies,
Let me
ED
read
and
out
CBI,
something.
who
You
curtailed and
you have
halted
the entire report with you.
that
Let me read
policy.
out the most important part, which is 8.7. Then, I'll go to the other guess. It says several fundamental changes were effected in the excise policy 21-22 relating to levy and collection of excise duty, administration of liquor supply chain and coverage of retail operations. The actual policy contained provisions which were at the variance with the underlying objective for change in policy, and the expert committee report. Necessary permission from the Council of Ministers were found lacking in some decisions which had revenue implications. The new policy was fraught with design issues as they imposed exclusively arrangement between manufacturer and the wholesale formation of retail zone with minimum of 27 wards. These increase the risk of monopolization and formation. Actual implementation was suboptimal and objective behind the policy were not achieved. Vents in non-covering wards could not be opened and equitable distribution of retail vents could not be achieved. Issue and management of zonal license had a major shortcoming. I can just go on. I will not waste people's time because I'm just reading the conclusion 8.7. This is one very important part of it. I mean to say, this report clearly states the broad revenue loss, one, and second, something which is even more important. The report is going into the intent and implementation. I think that's where the accountability is. Dr. Pooja Tripathi.
I think you're right, Karthik. Yeah. The problem here, the major issue here is the intent and accountability and the loss of credibility. The party that rode on the wave of anti-corruption crusade came and gave us a revenue deficit of around 2026 crore. Just now, Ms. Shelly Obera was talking about how this policy was increasing revenue. Why does CAG mention of loss of 2026 crores? There has been issues of cartelization. There has been issues of monopolization. There have been no mandatory NABL accreditation. The barcode-based licensing was not effectively implemented. Why did if it was such a good policy, why did AAP retract from the whole policy?
Exactly.
The expert committee recommendations were violated, and it's there on the paper. You just read it out, the 8.7 points. And the licenses were reduced from 77 to 14. This is the same state where education minister and the excise minister were one, and this has never happened in any of the country. So, Aam Aadmi Party has a lot to answer. Has a lot to answer. They're truly they are very correctly out of power because they just handled Delhi like they handled the Sheesh Mahal renovation. They just handled Delhi like their private limited company, and the CAG reports make some striking recommendations, make some striking observations on the same, and they have a lot to answer on that. Coming out and saying that ED, CBI, IT, and things like that, and most of our leaders are in jail. You have to answer on point to point rebuttal. Why did you
Exactly.
ignore the expert committee recommendations? Why did you favor monopolization? Why did you favor cartelization? Why was not the quality control measures were not implemented?